Welcome.
Hi.
Okay. So, how did you find Graal? And when did you start playing?
I found Graal. There's actually a friend of mine in school, in high school. I was a freshman, and he played it. He played the game a lot. And so one day he just showed it to me. He said, "Hey man, you gotta try this game." And I was a bit skeptical at first. I thought it was just another I don't know. I didn't think it was that interesting at first, but I tried it, and it grew on me. I started to enjoy it. 2009, probably around that time.
Did you experience any changes after your first year of playing?
After my first year of playing, that's when I started to really get involved in the towering and all that sort of field stuff, and that's when I started to really enjoy the game, because that really gave the game a good objective. There at the time, that was for me, that was Menzo and Characters Japan. It's definitely improved for the modern age, but there is some sort of sentimental feeling I have for the older Graal.
Do you own any items with crazy histories or backstories? If so, then could you share a story?
So the coolest thing I have is probably my pizza head that I don't remember who made it. I always thought it was what was his name? Pimpsy Georgic, the old admin. Because he was the guy that had made the burger head famous, and so I always thought it was him. And then I found out later on it was some other admin or something called Angel or something, and she or he made that head, and so that's one of the cool ones I had. Then there's are you familiar with Kujoey? Well, he made this other hat, and it's really cool. It's like this dark, almost reminds you of a Batman kind of look. So those are the only ones I have that are kind of cool and interesting, and everything else is just yearly celebration hats and 2011 hats and that kind of fun stuff.
Are there any items that you regret not buying from the past? If so, then what were they?
Geez, there's a lot of. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. There's been a lot of Zor hats I could have bought at a time, and some more, not just like morphs, and definitely a lot of the mounts. There's a lot of cool mounts out there that I if I'd been here for probably in a good span of 2013 to 2018 or something like that, I could have had some really cool stuff. But I will share that the coolest thing that's recently came around that I found really interesting was that new Junior morph, and that one was pretty cool. Yeah, but I always wanted that burger head that Pimpsy had. I wish I bought it at the time, and I don't know why I didn't.
In what year did you feel as if the good times were gone and Graal was no longer the same game as you remember, and why?
I want to say it's a tough one, man. that's maybe 2015, I would say, because I started to feel this way when. That's a tough one. I mean, the good days was when I was towering and with pretty much just Menzo at the time, but we were working for a 1K hours hat, and we were just grinding hours and getting to 1,000. And sort of when that peaked and when that ended, that was, to me, that was my sort of getting away from the game, because that was sort of the objective the whole time, is just to work together to get this one hat that we all wanted to get, and as an achievement. And then after that, pretty much everyone disbanded from Enzo, and everyone grew up their own ways. Or it was Snow Tower that I liked a lot, and we did a lot of that over there. Because nobody ever attacked Snow Tower that much, so we always held Snow Tower, and that was pretty fun. And then they got rid of that, of course. And then, yeah. And they got rid of the old mod tower location, and that sort of like, that sort of, the old mod tower location was perfect. They got rid of it. What was it? The dojo they have there now, or whatever it is. The mod tower that's where it's now, it's like off the map, and I don't care about it anymore. And the one tower that's in the castle, I remember that. That was a really fun cat tower to be at, because we just like, you'd have like 2 or 3 guilds there, just all fighting and clamoring for the power of that tower, and we're all just fighting together. And it was honestly like an incredible experience. And even though it's been like years since I've been at that point, or I've thought about that, thinking about it now is just, it brings back so many childhood memories and so much interesting adventures I had with other people that I kind of makes me reminisce about the game.
If you could go back in time, then what would you change?
I'm fine with all the graphic improvements and all that. I mean, that's expected, I mean, over time, people are going to want changes in textures and whatnot. But I would keep, definitely, all the old towers, I would keep the one where they're near that pirate ship area. I don't remember what that one's called. I think it's called Blam or something, if I'm not mistaken. That one was pretty cool. So I would just keep all the old towers, Snow mod in its original location. I would keep Nimda around, because you can't get there anymore. It's a bummer. They didn't get rid of it. They just changed it a little bit, and I liked going there and getting banned. And I would also like admins to be more present in the community. Like, you don't see them very much anymore. Like, before, they'd always like be on top of the barring tower, and they would just like show their faces, and like 1,000 people would be like, "Oh, I want to see you." And they, the thing is that the special thing about it is that they all had gold letters. It's not like nowadays everybody has gold letters, right? Like, just the admins had gold letters, and so that was cool about it. It made it like interesting and fun.
What motivates you to keep playing Graal?
Now I don't nowadays, and I'm 26 now. I don't play the game as much as I did when I was, I don't know how old I was, like 14, 15, 16, an 18-year-old in high school. So, but I come back every now and then, and I'll have my moments where I just keep playing the game for like a month, and then take a break, and then come back. What keeps me coming back is the memories. And it's like, I've spent so much time on this. It's like, why do I keep going back to play the same GameCube game I played since I was a kid? Because I enjoyed it, And same thing applies to Graal. Same thing applies to like Smash Bros. Melee or Pokemon Coliseum on the GameCube, or playing Pokemon Emerald on the Game Boy Advance. It's because I enjoy the game. And the good thing about Graal is that it has this large player base where you can interact with people. You can actually talk to people, by text message, of course. But it made the people of multiple different countries or whatever, and you can talk to them, and it really made the game interesting, and it still does. It really makes the game fun when you can learn about someone in a completely different country, and you can see how they customize their skin, maybe relative to their own country's like culture or whatever, and that's just interesting. That's the beauty of the game. It'd be nice to see some of the older friends I had back then come back, and we could chat it up or whatever. I haven't really kept up with them, to be honest. I talk to a few of them on Facebook sometimes, but other than that, most of them have, they have families now, and they got kids or whatever, how they have to take care of that. And I would like for them to come back and at least play the game for a little bit, you know?
How do you view the game today? What recent changes do you like or dislike? And why?
So how do I view the game today? I think it's still a very good game. You know, how do I view the game today? I like that they've kept a lot of the sparring tournaments, and I like that they've kept up with all that. I kind of wish they still had the swamp sparring tower where it was like a guild spar. That was a nice feature. Because that I just like the whole swamp area and how they made that area into like it just felt like a swamp. Now it just feels like a marsh. You just walk through a little puddle of water and then you get to the next city. You know, it doesn't really feel that immersive as far as a swamp might feel. So, but other than that, I think the game is. I think this game is really good. I mean, it's still heavily populated. Sure, there's a lot of AFKers, but there's always been AFKers. You know, there's always been someone who's trying to level up their, you know, character and get to 1,000 hours for that. What is it? That snow resort. Then there's 2,000 or 5,000 hours. Then so on, so on.
What items would you want to see in the nearby future?
I would like to see older, I like to see older mounts and, skins and stuff like that come back. I know they have the auction house, but I'd like something more affordable so where I don't have to think I have to spend 1 million Graalots and get some random thing. I liked them when they did that glitch event where they had you go back to like old Graal and you could see whatever. I wish they'd just bring us back older, hats and skins and all this, because I imagine most of the players from back then don't even have this game installed anymore. They probably will never touch this game again. So it's not like they would care too much that something like that gets repopulated. So I think something like the food heads should come back. Like the pizza, the pancake, the hamburger heads should come back as more permanent items. And stuff like that would be really cool, because the older items they made it interesting. Like you got the Druin heads, you know what the Druin heads are. Or I don't know who makes that, but those are cool heads, and all the bodies and skins and whatnot. They do a good job with that. And but I wish the admins would just put more out there. That's not just, some. I wish it just had more animation to it. I wish it had more childish fun to it. To the heads.
Well, that concludes the ending of this interview. Thanks for joining, and good night.
Yep, it's been a pleasure.